What's up, guys? So I've been looking at some of the reviews for Hind Collective on Trustpilot. Oh dear God! If you guys haven't already seen them, you need to go and see them. Just type it. Just go onto the Trustpilot website and type in Hind Collective. You guys will see the reviews. Oh Lord. To be honest, I think, obviously I left my own review on there. I think a lot of people have, basically saying they won't be buying from them because obviously Chris is one of the owners. Obviously, there's nothing that's been said on there isn't true apart from the bit about someone was saying that he was wanted for tax, that Chris is wanted for tax evasion and was towing his around in caravan. I mean, I think they sleep in a caravan. I don't think he tows them around in it. It's kind of funny, seeing all these reviews, seeing all these bad reviews. I think in a way it is kind of funny seeing all of this business kind of blowing up in Chris's face and seeing his name basically being dragged through the mud. It's at least he deserves. So many people have said about him being a nonce. Everything that people have said on Trustpilot about him being a nonce isn't exactly untrue. For the most part, it is technically true. Technically speaking, it is true. And I think we all know it at the end of the day. And I don't blame anyone for wanting to go onto Trustpilot and leave a negative review. People are always, a few people started doing it, and now it seems that everybody is kind of, started jumping on the bandwagon and leaving their own negative reviews on Trustpilot for Hind Collective. It is funny, to be honest. It is funny. Obviously, as I said, if you guys haven't already seen the reviews, I definitely recommend that you go onto Trustpilot and you check out some of the reviews, as they are hilarious. You will have a good laugh when you read them. Of course, to be honest, I don't even know if Chris and Sarah are even aware of these reviews that have actually started appearing and have obviously appeared on Trustpilot. I'm assuming, but even if they were aware of them, would they actually address that? I don't know. Obviously moving on for now a little bit, wanted to talk about something I've noticed with the Ingham's vlogs, and I thought that this would be worth mentioning. Now, for a while now, I've noticed that they seem to have that tendency to say things in their vlogs that I would definitely say are not really appropriate for the most part. Obviously, they say a lot of things that they probably shouldn't really be saying. I feel like sometimes they forget that their channel is supposed to be a family vlogging channel, and I think they forget that there could be children watching their vlogs, and sometimes some of the things they do say in their vlogs just aren't really appropriate for what is supposed to be a family vlogging channel. And as I said, I think sometimes they forget that that their channel is a family vlogging channel, and that there could be children, watching their vlogs, which I would say there's probably a very good chance that there are young children watching their vlogs, without a doubt. I mean, obviously, that there are adults watching, but there's probably the chance that there's also kids watching their vlogs as well. And I mean, obviously, I just think they need to be a little bit more careful about the things that they say in their vlog, about the things that they say in their vlogs. Making sure they're not saying anything that really that perhaps is a little bit inappropriate for a family vlogging channel, so to speak. Obviously, one of the things I was seeing when people, obviously in a lot of the Trustpilot reviews, people talking about, how, obviously Chris and Sarah are not the kindest of people, and the truth is they're not the most, the kindest of people in the world. we've all seen how nasty they can be when people post negative comments or post a comment that sort of criticising them in any way. They can be quite nasty, especially Chris. And I did that video. I think it was, I don't think it was it yesterday I did it? I think it was on Tuesday I did the video where I mentioned that, Chris shouldn't be calling people clowns because obviously it is technically bullying, which is, it is at the end of the day, and it does make him a bully. Obviously I don't disagree with any of these Trustpilot reviews. Chris Cinnamons are not. You all know that. Obviously he'll never admit to it, but we all know the truth at the end of the day. I was actually pissing myself laughing when I read some of the reviews, as I went on to Trustpilot myself last night, and I actually posted a review myself, and I was reading some of the others, and it was actually hilarious reading some of the reviews that have been posted. And I think, I don't think people have done a bad thing by posting these reviews. And I think, I know a lot of people would say, well, there's no need for that, but obviously you can see why people have done it, and I think people have every right to do that. Because obviously, at the end of the day, we all know what racism is. As I said, the Trustpilot reviews, as I said, if you've not seen them, you are missing out. You really need to go and have a look at them. You'll have a good laugh if you do. As I said, with the channel, it feels like they need to remember, that their channel is a family vlogging channel, because some of the things, as I've said, sometimes they do say things that in their vlogs that are not really appropriate for what is supposed to be a family vlogging channel. And obviously there is that possibility that there could be younger children watching their vlogs, and it's just about being careful really, and not remembering that there could be aunties watching their vlogs, and I think they forget that sometimes. I think they forget that their channel is supposed to be a family vlogging channel. It's ridiculous. Obviously I've been looking at, I looked at some of the other family vlogging channels, and I looked at the way that, other people choose to respond to negative comments, and I feel like there isn't a single person who responds to negative comments in the way that Chris does. I think the way that he responds to them is completely unacceptable, completely and utterly out of order for the most part. And I know that does sound a wee bit critical, but it just had to be said at the end of the day. It's a point that has to be made. He can't keep calling people clowns, which is what he does. Whenever anyone posts a negative comment, they get called clowns, trolls, bullies, and idiots. That is what he will always call people. The problem, as I've said, the problem with Chris and Sarah Renham is it's very, very clear that they can't handle criticism. They've made that point very abundantly clear that they are unable to handle any sort of criticism. And I think that just has to be said. I hope you've enjoyed this short video this morning. I thought I would come on and give my opinions on that. As I said, the only things that have really been said on Trustpilot that are not true is that Chris is towing his around in a caravan, because he's not really doing that. His sleep in the caravan, but he doesn't really tow them around in it. And I also don't think I don't think that there's any truth in the fact that he's wanted for tax evasion. But I think everything else is true. Everything else about him being a child groomer, and the way that he responds to comments and things like that, all of that is true. Everything else that people have said is true, but it's just those couple of things that aren't true. Obviously him, towing his around in the caravan and being wanted for tax evasion. not really true for the most part, you know. I mean, if you're gonna, all I'm gonna say is that if people are gonna write reviews, at least actually write things that are true instead of, you know, writing things that are not they're not obviously are not necessarily true. For example, saying that he's wanted for tax evasion, because we know that that's not necessarily true. That he isn't actually wanted for tax evasion, nor is he towing kids around in the caravan. They sleep in the caravan, but he doesn't tow them around in it. So, I mean, was it really necessary to write that? Probably not. But I wouldn't say it was unnecessary for people to write about this being a child rumour, because that's absolutely I feel that was absolutely necessary. But the bit about him being him being wanted for tax evasion and whatnot, probably not necessary to write that, because it's not necessarily true. You know, if you're gonna write a review, at least make sure that it's true, and that you're not writing anything that isn't particularly true. Because obviously we know that the whole thing about the tax evasion isn't true, and also we know that obviously he's not really towing kids around in the caravan, so to speak. But everything else, as I said, everything else is 100% true. You know, I've written my own review. I think a few other people have, and I don't think this is the end of it. I think there'll be way more negative reviews to come. You know, I think people, you know, I don't think anybody really disagrees with the negative reviews. I'm surprised I haven't had a load of iFan going on there and attacking the people that have left negative reviews about this. That would make me laugh. I'd love to see all of the iFan going on to Trustpilot and attacking all of the people that are leaving these negative reviews about Chris and Sarah. You know, people are not wrong when they say that Sarah Ingham is an enabler. That's exactly what she is. You know, to coin a phrase. So I hope you enjoyed this short video anyway, and I'll see you for another one soon. Bye bye.